So this is going to be a hopefully fairly short and simple video about a mouse. Yeah, I know, it's really interesting, isn't it? Well, it actually is, and that's because this mouse is PS2, but not only is it PS2, it's optical. So why does this mouse matter? Well, if you're someone who likes to use old computers like I do, and if you're watching this channel, you're probably into that already. So this is pretty much your standard option for old computers when it comes to mice, is something like this. You know, you got a ball, and it runs off PS2. That's basically it. Now these mice are fine, and I get a lot of enjoyment out of using a ball mouse. They're fine for normal, desktop usage, but when it comes to games, I find them a little bit lacking. They kind of lack some precision sometimes. It kind of depends on the quality and how clean you keep it. And the other thing is you got to do regular maintenance on these things for them to actually work properly. And you need a really flat and grippy surface, so a mouse pad is basically a requirement. And something that I don't see a lot of people bring up with ball mice, but if you're on like an FPS or something and you're like flicking the mouse back and forth, I think like the inertia of the ball doesn't line up with what your hand is doing, so it will keep rolling in like one direction. So if you're doing this, your mouse cursor is just gonna like bounce usually over to the right from what I've seen, but yeah, you get very inaccurate movements if you try to do really fast movements. Now you could get a modern USB mouse and hook it up with a PS2 to USB adapter. However, my experience with those adapters has typically never been the best. The only one that I've really had much luck with is this Microsoft one, which I think only works with some USB IntelliMice, but if I'm wrong, let me know, because I don't think I've ever tried it on anything else. So ideally, the solution is a modern mouse with an optical sensor that connects over PS2. And that's exactly what this mouse is. So a little bit more details about the mouse itself. It is the Perix Paramice 209. And it's really just a pretty basic mouse. Apparently it's designed in Germany, although it's actually just, made in China. Like pretty much everything that's cheap is this. You can get a USB version as well, but I don't know why you would. Like the whole feature of this thing really is that it uses PS2. It also comes in black or white. I chose the white because it usually matches old computers better than black. As you can see, it does have a 1000 dpi sensor, so it is pretty sensitive, and in fact it's usually a little bit too sensitive for my tastes. I typically have to turn down the sensitivity in Windows, and there's no DPI control on the mouse itself, so you have to do it in software. So this mouse only costs $10, and even if it wasn't that good of a mouse, just a cheap mouse that connects over PS2 for $10, that's, brand new and stuff, that's really not that bad of a deal. But the mouse itself actually isn't that bad. It's fairly light, and it's a little bit lighter than I usually like in a mouse, but it's not bad. And despite it being fairly light, the plastic itself doesn't feel too cheap, so build quality is surprisingly decent. The clicks they're a little noisy, but they do feel alright. Scroll wheel feels okay. My only problem with the buttons, though, is that the middle click requires a little bit more force than I usually like. It's nice because it's hard to accidentally middle click, but if you're doing it a lot, it can get kind of tiring on the finger. My only real complaint is slightly with the ergonomics. Now, it is nicely shaped on the sides, and it is ambidextrous, so you can just swap the buttons around in software and use whichever hand you like better. It's a little bit short. If it came out just a little bit more, it would fit my hands really well. I do have fairly large hands, but so if I hold it normally to where my fingers aren't like flying off the end, it doesn't quite fit in my palm as well as I'd like. If I put it in my palm, my fingers are kind of dangling off the edge a little bit more than I'd like. So if it was just a little bit longer, it would fit my hands really well. But if you have smaller hands, it's probably fine. Or if you do more of a claw grip, you're probably fine as well. And it is a lot nicer to play games with this than an old ball mouse. I mean, the ball mouse is nostalgic and it's, correct to the time period, but for actual usability, this is a nice step up. This isn't your only option for PS2 optical mice. I know HP in the 2000s made some PS2 optical mice, and there might be a couple others that you could still find floating around, but this is like one of the few that I could find just on Amazon. And there'll be a link in the description. It's not sponsored or anything. I just really like the mouse, and I thought I should kind of highlight it. So if you've been looking for a better mouse for your old computer, or even your modern computer, really, it's not a bad option for that either. For 10 bucks, you can't really go wrong with this. It doesn't really do anything like amazing, but it doesn't do anything terrible. It's a pretty middle-of-the-road, average, cheap mouse, and the fact that it's PS2 is really its main selling point. So that's going to do it for this video. I just wanted to do a little showcase and kind of review of this mouse, kind of bring it to more people's attention, so hopefully these things stay in production for a while, as it really is a big convenience to have PS2 with an optical mouse. So thank you for watching. Have a good day.